Welcome back to another video, guys. This is your host, Junior Garcia. This is our podcast, The Carpenter's Touch. And today I have a special guest. His name is Josh Mendes. Yeah, I said Josh Mendes. And today we're talking about what I promised you in the last podcast, red flags in hiring a bad contractor. Let's hit the intro, guys. Hey guys, welcome to another remodel. We are in another remodel. Keep watching. So guys, we're back here. I have my guest, Josh. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Josh Mendes from Mendes Construction. Yeah, Josh.
Hey, how you doing? It's Josh from Mendes General Construction.
Right.
Located out of Bloomfield, New Jersey. Great to be here with you, Junior.
Okay. Let's do that again. It was bad. It was so bad.
My part or your part? Which part?
That's me.
Hey, Junior. Hey, my name is Josh. I'm from Mendes General Construction. So we're located out of Bloomfield. We're general contractors who we specialize in kitchens and baths and additions. We actually worked alongside Junior on a lot of additions. He's actually our main sub for all of our framing and roofing and siding, right? So we specialize a lot in kitchens and baths and high-end renovations, especially in the Middlesex County, Essex County, mostly northern New Jersey.
You do high-end work as well, right? You do.
Yeah, we do high-end millwork, cabinetry installs, specialty tile installs. We work on a lot of bathrooms that are on those price ranges that are $60,000 and above.
Right, definitely. So I've seen Josh's work. I can vouch that he is a carpenter. As a carpenter, he knows his craft. Kind of wanted to bring in because now that he's in contracting, he's not just a carpenter like I was a carpenter. We're in contracting. We write our contracts and we come against other contractors as well. And then I think it's generally what happens is that they finally call you, right? They're like, hey, Junior, can you come and give me a quote? And then all of a sudden, when they come in, you're giving them a quote. You're not giving them a quote. You're hearing the horror story of how they hired somebody else. And guess what? When you hired that other person and not you, they took their money and left. You know, in the state of New Jersey, guys, like I said before in my last podcast, if you take somebody's deposit, let's call it $30,000, let's call it $50,000 as a deposit for a renovation, for an addition, for something, a major renovation, right? And you do not perform any work. Listen, guys, no work at the client's home. Say, well, no, it was delayed. The materials are not here or whatever. And you do not answer their phone and you can't get in contact with them. Guess what? It's fraud and you're going to jail. So that's in the state of New Jersey, you know. But, you know, if you have started work and you've taken money and you started work, then it becomes a little
slippery slope.
It does, because it's hard to, because the judge wants to say, okay, well, he did start it. Okay, but he hasn't been in my house for 6 months.
Yeah.
So,
the question is define what is work started. Is it site protection? Did he put down hardy board? Did he put some foam at the entrance and tape the stairs up and then never showed up again?
No, I only ordered the windows. That was it. So, it reminds me of, right? And we're gonna go through our own list, right? Because hiring the right contractor or wrong contractor can kind of sabotage your whole project. And I'll give you an example, right? Because you want to hire the right guys. You want to go through these questions. You want to get them out. And sometimes people feel like, I shouldn't even ask that. I feel a little nervous asking that question. Listen, if you're going to invest X amount of dollars, let's call it $50,000, $60,000, $100,000, $120,000 to a contractor, guess what? If you don't answer or ask those questions, it's on you, really, And I remember, before going into the first one, I remember this one, and this was years and years ago. It was a contractor. I'm not scared to say his name and put his stuff out there. It's Livingston Roofing. He was from Livingston, New Jersey. Guess what? He came up in the rankings in Livingston, and he kind of took off. He's doing good work. He was doing good work, and he was my competition now. The main competition in Livingston was Arrowhead Roofing, because he was here for probably about 3 generations. So he was doing everything. He had Livingston locked down. So Livingston Roofing came up. I was here, but I was still the small guy. And Livingston Roofing came up, and in 2 years, he was just taking over everything. Long story short, I saw this one job in Livingston on Hillside Avenue, and I passed by there. It was September. And I saw the siding off, and I passed by again, and now there's Tyvek. And then October, November, December, January, there's nothing going on, there's just Tyvek. All of a sudden, I get a call from Livingston Roofing saying, "Hey, Junior, are you interested in the project?" It was March. It was cold. Wow. And March is the beginning of season for us. Everybody's trying to get something going. And I said, "Yeah, sure. All right, just be there Monday morning, and you have the job. The materials there on site." "They are? Yeah, don't worry." So I got there on site. I said, "I need a deposit." He goes, "Okay, not a problem." I went, and he goes, I called him. He goes, "No, get the money from the homeowner. Don't worry. They'll pay you." Knocked on the door. The homeowner says, "How can I help you?" I said, "Well, I came here to do your siding." "Who are you?" I said, "Well, Livingston Roofing sent me over. Come on in." He sat me down, and he told me the story. He said the story was that Livingston Roofing was only in business only 2 years, and basically took their money in September, purchased the materials, but ran a little short and got a second deposit from him, and then didn't continue the work. Didn't even, just only remove the siding. Long story short, he said, "We're going to pay you to do the siding. What would be your price?" And I gave him a price, but we're not going to deal with it anymore. We don't have any siding for the last 6 months, guys. No 6. So we didn't want to sue him because he's a neighbor of ours. So they didn't want to go the extra mile. I mean, you don't have siding for 6 months. You went through the whole winter. It's freezing cold. It's rough, it's really rough. So, but if you hire somebody that's wrong, guess what? It's gonna cost you. So we're definitely gonna go to the first question. So I'm gonna give it to, these are the red flags. When a contractor wants a
large down payment.
Large down payment. So, do you know anything like that?
So usually when we talk to a client, we set up a payment schedule. Mm-hmm. So when I first started out, I worked alongside first homeowners directly, and then I started working with a designer. Okay. And when I started working with a designer, the jobs elevated. The clientele, they required more. They required more paperwork. A lot of our clients were either lawyers, and we would send them our agreement, and they would rewrite it and look through the fine lines. Really, really, really tight on all the paperwork, right? And a big thing was the down payment. What is it going to be, and how much money do you need from here on after? Right. So I always have a rule. It's either 20 to 30% on a down payment, right, and then payment schedules upon completion of work. Got it. Right. So in the kitchen and bath industry, right, or general contracting, it's usually a down payment to get everybody started. Right. Get those first deposits for your subs. Everybody can buy the material and be on site. Right. Right. It obviously looks different. Order a container, get the John on site. Right. But obviously 30% on like a $500,000 renovation, that's a lot more than $60,000, and it's a smaller.
And the schedule is the schedule has to be longer. It has to be a lot of different payments for a bigger job. Yeah,
because you're gonna say every probably 2 to 3 weeks you're gonna start getting a payment, and it all depends. Like when we first started out, right, when we were a little guy, we were working with smaller capital. But now as we grow, you'll get a good contractor who won't ask for a check probably into the middle of the project, right, just for good measure. Right. But you knowing and I knowing in this industry, you want a contractor who needs a down payment but doesn't how do you say this? They don't need to be hounding you every week because they're short, because they're using the money from your project to pay for the previous profit. So, you want a contractor who can take the down payment and probably, last the first 2 weeks of the project without having to need another deposit.
I would say definitely if you guys are hiring a contractor and they say, so just for the people that, contractors that do roofing and siding, most contracts, right, is 50%. Generally, that's out because you're going to do that roof in 1 day, maybe 2 days. So you need 50 up front for the materials, right, containers, and Mr. John, or everything else that you need. And then the final will be the other 50. Generally, it's that for the roof, unless it's a massive roof, which is a commercial roof, or you're doing something like 250 squares, and it's like $100,000 job, right? It's not going to be 50%, but generally for a regular roof, it is. For siding, it's in our business is somewhere around 30% to 35%, and then 50% when we get to halfway down, you'll get another deposit or another payment, and then the final payment when the job is done. So to me, the red flag would be if, let's say you're doing a $10,000 job renovation, and the guy wants $8,000. Red flag. And then that would definitely tell me that he may be taking the money and saying bye-bye, or going to, he may be going to Atlantic City. He may be going to Disney World.
He may be paying for his vacation before he takes it.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's definitely a red flag. Another red flag I would say is we write out contracts, right? And we actually put them in these folders or email them to people. And, it's very descriptive. Like, we're going to show you what we're going to do on that contract, right? From start to finish. And we're going to go through our sales process and explain something. But if a contractor comes to your home and gives you a vague, have you seen any vague?
Yeah, I've seen, we're going to do a whole addition on the back. It's going to cost $65,000. Right. And it's like, okay, so what's included? No, it's $65,000 for the entire thing. It's like, that's a red flag. You need to know what series windows you're putting in. Right. Are we getting hardwood floor? Is it number 1? Number 2? Is it select?
Ooh, right.
That's a big one. Right. Are we doing oil based? Are we doing water based? There's just so many details.
What about kitchen cabinets, right?
Cabinetry. What is your allowance per linear foot, right? Are you giving me a $350 linear foot allowance, or is it $80, which is not even going to cover Home Depot?
Right. So I say the more detailed the contract is, they're able to communicate and feel, well, I think there's value in that contract. But when it's vague, you know what, you gotta leave doors open for them to upcharge you on every single thing, and that was really included. I thought you said it was $65,000. It is, but that wasn't included.
Yeah.
Or what about electrical? Well, really, it wasn't included.
So what I've seen that worked for me, right? Like I said, working with a designer in the beginning was allowances, right? I gave the client the ability to choose their material pricing, right? If you wanted a cranberry door or versus a regular 6-panel, right? You're going to go from a 6-panel, which is $117, to a cranberry, which is going to come out to $275 a door. Yes. And that stuff, especially on bigger renovations and kitchens and baths, probably not. But if it's like a kitchen and bath that has 7 doors, 8 doors, they have a material allowance for their trim, for their doors, for their cabinetry. It's something that's transparent where they can say, oh, I know I spent $75,000 on my kitchen cabinets.
Got it.
Right? It's not. It was $150,000 and somebody put in $20,000 cabinets.
Exactly. Which is definitely fraud and very shady. But the better the person puts it on their contract, it makes, you have a peace and you have that good feeling. I always say, if you're looking through a contract and it's very, very vague and you feel that spider sensing coming out. My spider senses, right? Guess what?
If you don't have that good feeling when the contractors talk to you, when he keeps saying, no, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry.
That's when you have to worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's not that, bitch. Don't worry about it. Is the footings including? Let's see. Yeah, I'll take care of you. Yeah, so going through the list, I think this one is definitely important, which is reviews, right?
So as a contractor, I've been doing this business for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And when I first started out, I didn't have the mentor, right? I didn't have the person telling me, you have to do SEO, you have to do marketing, right? You have to create a website. So we started a website, I think it was like a year in, 2 years in, and we started doing Google reviews, and we were like, you know what? We do 2 to 3 projects a year because they're I would say 2 to 3 kitchens and bath. That's how intricate the work was. It would take months. So we really didn't work on our Google reviews until much after. So I started with a networking group, which actually really helped my business. And I started getting referrals in between that that network. Like it can be your chamber of commerce, your local. Your local chamber of commerce, but definitely people who have bad reviews. It's no good to have no reviews, but it's even worse to have bad ones, right? If you have 5-star reviews, that's a good sign.
That's a little bit better,
right? But like I said, when we first started out, it was 2 to 3 projects a year. Our clientele list was very small. In Junior's case, you're doing how many roofs a year?
Right. So we're doing definitely close to 100 roofs a year. So we definitely have.
You should at least have 10% of that many reviews.
Right.
Yeah.
But what happens is that it's hard to get the client to write a good review. You're like Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. How do you like the job? I love it. I love everything. I thank you. You guys cleaned up. Everything was well. Right. Here's a link for a Google review or a Yelp review or a Guild quality review, and guess what? They don't do it.
Yeah, and if you're a client that's listening, so these reviews help us. If you really love the work that was being done, right, it really matters to our business to go forward. So the next person coming along, right, they can say, he was a good guy. I want to use him. Not all the clients are going to want to leave a review because it's like, hey, I repaired my roof that was leaking for 25 years. It's not a great situation. They didn't want to do it. But on some clients that just said, hey, Junior, I want to change it to a slate line roof. I want to do a metal roof.
Right.
I think those are the people who are more willing to leave a good review.
They'll give it. And back in the days, I'm going to say probably 6 or 7 years back, Angie's List was really, really big, right? Angie's List I have like 159 reviews on Angie's List. And I had one client, I asked him, I did his roof, I did his siding, I did his gutters, I did columns. We did a little stonework. He wrote a Google review. He wrote an Angie's List review. The review was like, I am not. Go to Angie's List and look under Carpenter such. He started that review and he's like, everything, the crew, the clean, everything. And then for the detail people, if you don't want to read past this, these are for the more detailed clients. And then he's kept on writing and started, because you want a better insight of the contractor you're going to hire, because if not, it may be a red flag that this guy doesn't have no review. He has no reviews. He has bad reviews. And then for me, I remember a time, and I'm going to say definitely it was before COVID. It was probably 2015, and my vehicle was skipping. The transmission was skipping, and they told me about a place that does transmission, because the places up here were kind of packed. I went down there, and I go in. I spoke to the owner. I told the owner, I said, hey, listen, my transmission is skipping. I just barely made it here, but I brought a friend of mine to drive me back home because I was just going to drop the car, get the transmission fixed, come pick it up in 3 or 4 days, whatever it is, right? And I already had it in my mind, I'm going to pay about $3,000 to $3,800 to fix that transmission. Kind of got an estimate, more or less. He goes, okay, give me 30 minutes. I'm going to lift up that hood. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to give you an over, and you'll have an estimate, and I'll tell you what's really, really wrong with it, and I'll run the computer and everything. I went, grabbed a coffee, came back 30 minutes. My truck is still outside. It's not underneath,
underneath the lift, yeah.
The lift. So I'm thinking, all right, and gives this guy, benefit of doubt. I'll wait 30 more minutes. In that time, I grabbed my phone and I started to scroll, and I said, let me look this place. The guy had 5 bad Google reviews. 5 back to back to back to back. And it said, if you're here trying to get your transmission fixed, run and leave now. And the other one was kind of saying the same thing. The other was, and I'm like, this guy ripped me off. I was like, oh, you know what I did, right?
You took the key. You took the truck and you left.
I went inside. I said, you know something? I waited a little bit too long. I think it's not going to happen. Thank you. You sure? You sure? I said, yeah. And I took my keys and I took it to a different place. I say that because when you're hiring right now, online services, right? Everybody knows who you are by online reviews, right? If you don't have any online presence or online reviews, guess what? People can't trust you with money to do a project. You know, people want an insight of what your business, how your business is run, and you know, and whether you're doing Google reviews or whether Yelp reviews or you know, Angie's List, Guild Quality, you know, or you have a good social media presence. People then feel, okay, I can trust him. I'm gonna go with Josh, you know.
Yeah, that was what worked for me since we started off with Instagram and Instagram kind of just made us grow
real quick.
It was so quick. Clients were DMing us. They were like, "Hey, I saw this hidden door. I want this done in my basement renovation." Right?
Yes.
So we started doing hidden doors and bookcases and special cabinetry, right, in different parts of the homes, and it was that helped us. It was the social media, it was the Facebook, it was the Instagram, it was people being able to see my post every day. I was cutting crown and filming myself do it, and my clients were like, wow, Josh, that's amazing. Right? And it built that trust where that when I came the first day to meet them, they were like, I've been watching you for months.
Yeah. It makes it so much easier. It was a review. It was the review right there. But if you're gonna hire somebody and they have no social media presence, they have no reviews, that's definitely a red flag. I would kind of skip that guy and go to somebody that's been in business. Even if somebody's been in business 3 years and they're doing well, it works out. Like I always tell the people that follow me on Instagram, follow my stories. You're gonna know a little bit about me, you know, what I do, what I like, you know, if I like baseball, if I'm into, you know, the NBA Knicks, you know, you're gonna know a little bit about me. You're gonna know about my kids. You know, I'm very, very open, and you know, I like to do pranks. You know, like I did a prank yesterday, right? So, I think this one, I'm gonna jump to 5. We'll go back to 4, but let me jump to 5 because 5 is a reality. This is definitely the reality.
So I actually worked with an architect who gave me a lot of referrals, right? Going back to referral basis, right? An architect's a good one. And he sent me 6 referrals for 6 jobs. I bid on them all.
Right.
And on all of them, I didn't get a phone call back from any of the clients.
Ooh.
And I said, well, matter of fact, you bid it on two to three of these jobs actually. And I was like, so what happened? I reached out to the architect. I said, you have direct client. Your bid was too high. I was like, that's fine. I said, can we rework it? I think we tried to rework one. It was like, yes, somebody was lower by almost $150,000. And I said, wow. I said, well, let me go over my numbers. I crunched everything down, brought our percentage, and I said, that's impossible. Right. So with a low estimate, it was like, what are you really getting for that? Right? What are you really getting for a kitchen, right? You can do a kitchen, or better, a bathroom, right? A bathroom, you can do it at 15 to 16, very low.
That's Home Depot. Listen, if you're doing a $15,000 bathroom, and I'm talking about new electrical, new plumbing, tub.
Licensed subcontractors.
With a permit, you know what I'm saying?
With a permit.
It's generally an average bathroom is about 20 to 22. That's the average. The lower, like I've had clients that say, what can we do? I said, well, I remember back in the days we used to do a bathroom for $5,000. A Home Depot bathroom, right?
That's like a bath fitter nowadays, right?
Yeah, right. A bath fitter.
They go over your tile.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but not no more. But when you see a low estimate like yours, like you said, something's wrong. What you trying to do?
You see, you're ripping out and gutting a whole bathroom. It's like $16,000. Do you have enough there to pay pay or even pay well, right? You pay a good plumber. You want a good plumber. He's gonna put all that piping in your ceiling. He's gonna close it up, and you're never gonna see it again, right? Or you're gonna have an electrician. Is he gonna put 2 wires and it's gonna be a J box that's hidden in the ceiling, right? You want reputable people. So when I work as a general contractor, aside from our carpentry, right, we hire people with a reputation. All of our subcontractors, they've been in business for many years and have good reputation.
And they have licenses.
And they have licenses.
Right. But because it's true, because I remember when I was really, really, really busy. It was like around 2017. I had to do my own bathroom, right? My own bathroom. We had just bought the house, 2017. We were so busy. It was July. You know how it is.
Yeah.
You're just going from one job to the other, maintaining your clients, communicating with them, and you had to get the bathroom done. I called the subcontractor that I know. I said, he does bathroom. I said, hey, listen, can you do my bathroom? He said, yeah, sure. I said, how much? He gave me a good price. He said, I'll help you out because, you know, it's your bathroom. He started tearing everything off. He didn't change the plumbing. And I was looking at it because every night I would come and I would just kind of inspect. And the electrical, he didn't change it because we wanted the bathroom to be done quick, right? When he started putting the drywall, I'm not lying. He started putting a piece of drywall, another little small piece, a little small piece. It was ridiculous. It was like a crossword puzzle. I mean, like
he was doing a three-layer wedding cake
on the wall.
On the wall.
And when I saw that, I said, I mean, I do bathrooms too. What are you doing? And I told him, I said, hey, listen, what are you doing? He goes, no, don't worry, that's gonna be hide with spackle. I said, I brought you like 10 sheets just in case. You only need about 8 of drywall, and you can use it. And I had to make a decision and says thank you, pay him for the job that he did, and let him go. And I did it myself. So I would have to come to work for my own clients, and then at night would do my own bathroom. I say that because you get what you pay for. Was his price very cheap? It was. It was too good to be true.
It was
right?
too good to be true.
But he was trying to help me out as well. But that was not a good help. So I say low bidding a job is definitely a red flag, right? It's definitely a red flag, because then you say, why is this guy at $25,000 and right, you're at $25,000 and this other guy is at $10,000 and the other guy is at $40,000, right? Generally, the person that's right in the middle is really the one that you should go with, because right around where you need to, unless you're doing real high-end work, So,
yeah, I mean, rule of thumb, if your rule of thumb for what you're doing, a kitchen or a bath, let's say a bathroom,
right,
you're going to want to rip everything out, especially if it's a full gut, right? Everything we do is a full gut. And when you rip everything out, you're never going to see that plumbing again for another 20 to 25 years.
Right.
Copper could last a good 50, 60, right? What it may, but you want to change all the plumbing in the floor, in the wall, the traps, new PVC, that has, it's gunk. Like, so we work on a lot of 100-year-old homes, right? And these things haven't been touched in like the last, 60 years. So we go in and we replace everything. Now, on a 100-year-old home, if you're not replacing the electrical, if you're not replacing the plumbing, you're most likely not up to code.
Yes.
Because the code probably changed in the last 10, 15. It changed even last year.
Yeah.
Right, the NJIAC. So especially if you're doing a kitchen and bathroom and you have an older house, expect that price to be a little bit higher, because you're straightening walls,
right? You're
straightening ceilings, right? You're furrowing down the ceiling, you're sistering the joists, so you have a nice and flat level bathroom.
You may want to spray foam. Because you have that old tongue and groove. I mean, the walls are so drafty and stuff.
Yeah.
So. But
you get what you pay for.
You get it.
You get what you pay for. So to have an estimate that's so low, it's like, just get a second opinion, right? If you're really doubting it, get a second opinion.
I wouldn't always go with the first. Most people will get 3 bids. They'll definitely get 3 bids. But I would definitely go after the 3rd bid. You generally have a sense of idea of who you're going to go with, about their presentation, their professionalism. And then the other one that I wanted to talk about was... to verify the license. You know, okay, you generally, if you're getting a handyman to come into your house to do little painting and stuff like that, little odds, and he doesn't have to be licensed.
But he does have to be insured.
But he has to be insured, and he should be insured, because if he's touching little light electrical, light plumbing, you know, he may cause a fire.
NJIAC says
Right.
if it's over 10 volts, you need a licensed electrician.
Ooh.
So even
give it
changing out your outlets.
Right, that's more. So I know, and we was kicking around before, because I guess if you, let's say you have 1,500 square feet on your first floor, it's a pretty big home, and you're replacing
the drywall.
the drywall.
Let's say you're removing a load-bearing. The code says, right, or the building inspector requires 25% of the drywall. If 25% of the drywall in the house is removed,
Right.
you need a permit.
Look at that.
Right, and you're talking about, you know, you're removing old wallpaper, and you don't want to go through the hassle of skim coating the wall. You just want to replace it. You might need a permit. You might be able to get away with it, right? But the moment you get a dumpster out there, more than 25% of the drywall in anything, right, is a couple bags of garbage.
The inspector may pass by and say, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" "Oh, we're painting." "No, you're renovating."
Yeah, when he sees 4 guys bringing in 25 sheets of drywall.
But yeah, definitely. You want to find out. To answer the question is that you can go to New Jersey Consumer Affairs, or you can go to NYC Consumer Affairs and verify somebody's license. On all our business cards, and even these will say our business license, right? In New Jersey, it's 13VH030 and so forth, and you can verify that on the website to see if it's active. If it's canceled, if you have an indictment or something, they can cancel, because every year we have to register
and
renew our licenses.
And a good thing, if you check on the contractor's license, he can't have a license if he doesn't have insurance. So when we go to renew our license, we have to upload a document of our insurance. So most likely your insurance, you're going to pay a premium, and it's going to last a year, right? Whatever the coverage is, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million.
Right.
But if he doesn't have insurance, he's not going to be able to get a license.
To even renew his license. So getting back to the other is, if he doesn't have any proof of insurance, and that's kind of follows up. If he doesn't have any proof of insurance, I feel that you can do this job. You can renovate my kitchen. The kitchen is going to cost $75,000 with cabinets and X amount of this and trim and painting. Okay, it's $75,000. I think he's very, very good. Can you just show me a copy of insurance? And I want my name, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, with my address, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner's address.
List as insured.
List as an additional insurer, right? Because if something goes wrong, you, as the homeowner, can contact the contractor's insurance and say, this is what happened. His guys was working, and if he flooded my whole kitchen. Guess what? The insurance is going to pay for it. But if he doesn't have insurance...
Red flag.
Doesn't have insurance. So you definitely want to hire somebody that has insurance, I think going back to this it's a weird thing, but in my times, and I'm going to say this is my 19th year in contracting. We're going to be celebrating our 20th year next year in March. And it's definitely a big milestone, but I've seen this a lot, and it's contractors under the influence. And if you have a blind eye or a deaf ear, or you wink to it, he's a really good contractor, he's my father's friend, and he's semi-retired, and he's a good guy. Guess what? If he's drunk, or he's now, because everybody smokes weed. Everybody's smoking weed.
It's legal in New Jersey now.
It's legal to smoke weed.
And if you're your own boss, you...
If the contractor's coming up and he's high as a kite and he's flying a kite, that is definitely a red flag.
So, funny story. I have a client who we worked for here in Nutley, New Jersey. She moved down to Tom's River.
Not to say that people that smoke weed are bad. I'm not saying that. I'm clarifying that. So, no haters.
So she moves down to Tom's River, and a friend's son or friend's someone they knew put a whole HVAC unit in for them.
Okay.
Spent all the money on the materials, right? Which it's going to be upward of $20,000.
Right.
Even for a small ranch. And she put all this unit in, and it all failed.
Ooh.
So she had to hire a company to come out. It burned the condenser. It burned everything. Everything. The furnace is gone. They had to replace the whole new unit, and she had to pay for it twice.
So what happened?
The guy who did it didn't have insurance, didn't have a license, and most likely had to be under something, some influence to
some
make
type
an
of
install.
bad influence, right?
Another bad influence.
So I would say, yeah, if a guy comes in and you smell the alcohol in his breath, not to say that that's it is a red flag for me, and especially if you're doing a big amount of money, a job.
It's called an influence for a reason. It's going to influence you. It could be, right? Some people a positive, happy effect, and other people a downer, right?
Or angry or aggressive or something like that.
Or just non-responsive.
Yeah. So I remember when I was a young carpenter and I used to work with my brother. My brother had a main carpenter. I was just at that time still a journeyman. I was still, I apologize, I was still an apprentice, right? And then, long story short, he had a journeyman. He was really an actual master carpenter. Really, he was doing crazy stuff with crown and moldings. He was drywall. He didn't spackle, but everything else, framing. Long story short, every day he would come to work drunk. And then he would go out, hey, listen, let me go Home Depot. And he had that little bottle.
A little flask.
Little flask. He was like, and I would ask him, I was still young, and he's like, no, it's just a little something. It's just a little something. He wouldn't say what it was, but I knew it was alcohol because I would smell it on him. I would say if you're having somebody come into your house and disrespecting your home and they're drunk, or semi-drunk or under any type of influence, I think they're not going to give you the importance to you, to your husband, or your family in taking on that job, because I think it's a total disrespect to come into someone's house under the influence, and then you don't know what they don't know what they're saying, and they're not committed to you. Because they took that to be daring enough to, I can wing this, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna try to sell the job under the influence, and then, no, don't hire them. If that person was someone else, they would say, they went out with their friends and had a couple of beers or whatever, and they were under the influence, reschedule. Be a good contract, reschedule. But if they're like that, it's definitely a red flag.
I think that comes down into a presentation, right? When you go out, a junior, every time I see him coming out to a bid, he's well dressed, he's clean cut, right? And when you're coming, and always with a logo on, when you go on to an estimate or go to meet a client, I think you have to give a representation of who your company is, right, who you are, right? Has there been times when you were first starting out, you probably had paint on your hands, you probably had drywall on your hair, right? And
always a pencil.
Always a pencil in the ear.
Always in your pencil in your ear.
Old Carpenter trick, but
and a tape measure on your side.
And a tape measure on your side. But I feel like you have to be some type of representative of your company, right?
Professional.
And professional. But being under the influence, I think it's a big red flag.
Yeah. So number 4 was doesn't have any references. No ever. So he wasn't referred by your cousin, by anyone, but you heard about him. But he was not referred to. He's the guy you need to go. You need to go with Josh Mendez. I'm telling you, he did work in my house. You're gonna love it. He's gonna do everything he said he's gonna do. A reference, right?
Yeah, referrals. So referrals are a big thing. If you're going to hire a contractor and you're going to say, I want to talk to the last 3 people you worked for. Right? Don't, you can always wing the guy you worked work for 10 years ago, but the last 3 clients, right? Usually they say, my clients always ask me, and I don't, they always say, what's the projects you've done? What's the latest projects you've done? Right? The latest projects, meaning in the past year, 2 years, or 3 years. And you say, well, I've done a kitchen and bathroom in West Orange. I did a renovation in West Caldwell, right? And then you say, I want to talk to those people because you just finished the job for them. So if that aftertaste of a bad job is still in their mouth, they're going to tell me, right, what was good and what wasn't good. So always ask for references. And if a contractor's first starting out, he's most likely not going to have any. But if you have a project that's 60, 70,000, or it's a bigger project, probably don't use that contractor because he's probably still green. Not that he's not good, but he's probably still green, and it's not a project for him.
I had a client last year, Short Hills. Like wherever, like me and my team at the office, we're ever learning and getting everything right. I say now we're very organized. Do things happen on job sites? Sometimes we miss things. It happens, right? Not that we're a bad contractor, but there was a gentleman, he just moved in from New York to Short Hills. He bought a house. We did the roof for him. And I went, he said, everything is well, but can I sit down with you? I said, yeah, sure. He took me into his little office in his house, right? He goes, Junior, I'm a team leader of 100 people under me. And of the 100, there's 10 under, so there's 10 groups of 10s. But I am the main team leader. I run a business. So he's explaining to me, I know that you have a big crew and other crews as well. I said, yeah. The only thing for me as a business owner to you is that I'm just going to give you some criticism. I said, what happened? Well, there was just a couple of debris that was outside that needs to be picked up by my bushes. I said, show me. And then I went outside. Oh, okay, I'll pick that up. And then also in the attic, no one cleaned my attic. I said, thank you. I said, I humbly took it. I was in defensive, I didn't, oh, what are you talking to me right now? It's not. I took it. I said, thank you. And you know something? He wrote a good review. I went up, I cleaned the attic, I cleaned outside, and he wrote a good review. Why? Because people really know if you're doing a good job or not. And they want to help you also to make sure, for you to be better, as a contractor. So my time is, look, the camera guy saying time up. But we got to get these red flags in. This is the last one. And this one is
communication.
Go ahead. I'm going to give it to you, Josh.
So when you're going to hire a contractor, he has to pick up the phone. Right. If he doesn't pick up the phone when you're calling him for an estimate, right, maybe he's on the road, he's driving, give him 10 minutes, but he should call you back.
Right.
So you want a contractor who's going to call you back before you hire him and call you back once you hire him. Right. So I've seen contractors who ghost clients where they don't know where they are for the last or past 6 months, like you were saying. But you want to hire a contractor who has his cell phone number possibly right on his website where you can call him directly, or at least his home office,
or his business card,
or has a business card.
Right. I would say communication. Why is communication? Because imagine you're the homeowner, you're gonna invest $50,000 on a project, and you feel like you can't get a hold of somebody, and like I called them, I text them, and then they'll call you back in 3 or 4 days. Oh yeah, I got your call, I got your message, or they'll call you back in a week. And as a homeowner, you get nervous, and like and you feel that the communication's not there. So you do not have to have 4 years of college to communicate correctly. It's email, it's text, it's a phone call. If the person that you're hiring is a great communicator, I would say hire them, right? I think that portion over every other, the red flags, if they're not a great communicator, don't hire them, because then you're gonna feel like, oh man, I had a client right now, and I just did a reel. It was last year, and the client was his name. Her name is Maria, and Maria and her husband says, Junior, told me when I met them, I want you to do the roof, the siding, the windows, the patio doors. I want you to do everything. But she told me, something? We need somebody to hold our hand. It's a real big project.
Yeah, especially we have clients where we actually have to create group chats, right? Wow. But we're talking about projects 100,000, 200,000 and above, right? Where the clients have a group chat with us or the project manager who's on site, right? Or whoever you're pushing in right ahead of the office,
right?
Where if they have a question, hey, I'm on site. Is the dumpster going to be picked up today? Hey, I'm on site. I know we have a delivery that's coming, right? So the clients want to be aware. That's something. If you get an older contractor who probably doesn't text you, but he probably picks up the phone, that's passable.
That's still
but
good.
You know, in this day and age, our clients want to be connected with email, with text message, phone call. We use Builder Trend.
Okay.
So our clients get updated photos and emails. So that look for a contractor if you're that person who needs that hand holding, if you're that person who needs that communication. If it's a roof that's going to take one day, so be it.
Yeah.
Right. But if it's a project that's going to take a long time, you want somebody who's going to be up to date, or somebody who's going to be able to work with you, right? Who's going to be able to email you when they email you.
Right. So generally, if like the materials are going to be delivered tomorrow, we're emailing the day before or 2 days before. Hey, where the materials are going to be delivered. Hey, the container is going to be dropped off on Friday.
So you don't block their car in the garage.
So communication, I would say to me, out of everything on these lists, it would be the most, for me, of more value. I mean, does everything else have value? Do you have to be licensed? Do you have to have insurance? You know, all those other things. Yes, but I think communication kind of signs the deal for me. If you're communicating with me constantly, I'm gonna hire you. So guys, there you have it, the 10 red flags when hiring a contractor, right? You want to know if they're asking you these questions, and hey, listen, you want to ask these questions. You want to ask these questions. If they're saying, I want a large deposit, it's not going to happen.
Interview your contractors.
Yes.
You're going to have to deal with them either for the next 6 months to a year on a big project.
A big project.
And you want to make sure that the person who's sitting in front of you is well communicative and can actually get along with you. Somebody who's not aggressive.
Right.
You want somebody who's going to be nice and be able to talk to you, right?
Yes.
You don't want to get into an argument with a contractor.
You want something easygoing, that's pliable, make things happen. Because in construction, everybody knows there's always things that go wrong, right? There's problems, and we come with a mindset to bring solutions, right? But you want that type of contractor that has that same mindset. I'll take care of it, and I'm gonna fix it. That happened. Don't worry, we're gonna make the changes, right?
That's right.
So that, guys, there you have it. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to leave a comment below. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're giving away a free roof. Keep watching.